Hello, you absolute pog champs. Welcome to the Pogcast powered by Gang & Co. I am greeted here with the lovely ThatRavageShow. If you don't know who he is, links are always going to be down in the description below. There he is. Do you want to say hello, Mr. Rav?
Yes. G'day, Tommo, over in the lovely land of Ireland. Greetings from the land down under, the thunder from down under, if you will. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, yeah. Doing fantastic. Doing great. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. This is the first use of my new camera, too. So
yeah, it looks... What model is it again?
Ugly bug. It is a Canon M200, or EOS M200.
Very nice.
I got it for about 30% cheaper than retail, so...
Shit, okay. Just before we get started with the podcast, I do just want to let you guys know that this full video is available here on this YouTube channel, and we'll also be uploading segments too, just basically, different things that we thought, might be better for short form content for you guys to watch and enjoy, maybe some shorts down the line too. I will say, after a few episodes, however, it will be exclusive to our Patreons, or it'll be exclusive to maybe TebX subscribers in the Discord, something like that. We're going to figure it out. But the short segments will always be available. But if you want to watch the full lengthed video, that's only for our supporters only. Just a little quick thing as well. We are powered by Gang & Co, so I would not be doing my due diligence without promoting them. So gang.live, pick yourself up some poggy merch. I'm going to try to get some Pogcast merch up there too. I think that'll be pretty cool. And also G4 Worlds, where we host all of our game servers. We have GTA, we have Minecraft, we have Rust. We're working on an Ark Survival Evolved one. We're working on more GTA kind of based ones too, just kind of have a bit more fun outside of roleplay. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Rav, if you don't have anything else, we can jump straight into topics.
Yeah, no, jump straight into it.
Perfect. So, are we going to talk about StreamLabs?
I had a feeling either this or one of the other shitstorms that's happened in the last month was going to be the topic of conversation here. But yes, we need to talk about StreamLabs. As people have been aware, it has now come out that after all this time, that StreamLabs are copycats. They are all plagiarists, if you will. I know, right? Like, oh my god, like, it's just, oh my god. Like, apparently it's come out now that they've copied a whole bunch of other predecessors, like OBS Studio. Obviously, there's the grounds of where they came from, and even I'm guilty of it too. I thought that StreamLabs OBS was like a different version of OBS Studio, and it turns out that OBS have actually politely asked them, do not use the name OBS in your title of your product, and they've still gone ahead and done it anyway.
For years too. For years.
I mean, what's your take on it, though?
Like, I'm super proud of Lightstream. Like, even for this podcast, for example, I looked into Lightstream, seeing if it could be something that we could use for this type of stuff. We've eventually decided with Riverside FM for this one anyway. We might take a look at Restream at a later date. But yeah, it all just came out because they straight up copy pasted a page from Lightstream's website, and we're just testimonials, everything, carbon copy paste. And they were just like, oh, that was for internal use. We're sorry that got published and stuff. It's like, that was not meant for internal use whatsoever. No. And it doesn't matter if it's for internal use or not. Copying testimonials, like, that is just some dodgy ass shit. And I'm so happy StreamLabs finally got called out for their bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, when I was in primary school, I didn't, copying and plagiarizing is never a good thing. Like, when I was in primary school, I had someone help me with a project on talking about the lion and the species of that is a lion. And I kind of left at the last minute, and one of my mum's friends who had access to a full Encyclopedia Britannica pretty much just, like, Windows Encyclopedia or whatever it was, and just copied it out and put it in my report, kind of changed a couple of words here and there. Yep, cool, no worries, hand it in, Bob's your uncle, Next thing you know, I get my grade back, I get a fucking C-. I'm like, okay, should have expected that. Sure, it was fifth grade, but, like, I should have expected better. I should have expected, I shouldn't have expected better, rather. But yeah, that's just not on, and especially the testimonials. You know, like the names, I think they may have changed the names, but I think word for word, each testimonial was exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
The way they layered it out was exactly the same.
It was straight carbon copy. There was no other way about it. They literally could have like opened up Firefox, inspected that, took all the code, and then just plopped it over onto their own website. Like, you know,
so it's like going to Bali and buying a pair of flip flops or thongs, as we call them here in Australia. Yes, thongs are not G-strings here in Australia, believe it or not, people.
I'd love to see you in a thong.
I'm sure you would, mate. I'm sure. But you go to Bali, buy a pair of flip flops, and they've got Bali Bong written on them. Like, I'm no kidding. I've actually got a pair. They actually say Bali Bong instead of Billabong on them, purely because they're a cheap knockoff. They look like an expensive pair of Billabongs, but they're not. It's just
and like a lot of creators have come out now and are saying that they're not going to be using StreamLabs anymore. Now, in case you haven't followed what happened, StreamLabs have come out and said that they've removed the page and they're updating it and they're fixing it and whatnot. They've also removed OBS from their name. But Elgato also got a jab in at them. I don't know if you saw that too, but
no, I didn't.
So StreamLabs has their own like Stream Deck. And it's literally called like the StreamLabs Stream Deck or something like that.
Oh, yeah, actually, I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it didn't light me again anyway.
Yeah, and it's Elgato's tweet. I'll put it up on the screen after this. But it was something along the lines of, it was like, yeah, you're not the only ones who got copied by StreamLabs and stuff like that. They were digging everyone. There were Lightstream, OBS, Elgato. I believe even a few more companies too also just named and shamed them. And as someone who's always advocated against StreamLabs, this is like music to my fucking ears.
Yeah. I'll be honest, when I first started streaming, I used StreamLabs for like the first week of streaming, which was 2 days. I'd stream twice a week for an hour, and that was from 9 till 10, and then rated into a friend who streamed, and then I'd sort of, when I started, because he got me into it. But when I used StreamLabs, it was for that 1 hour. I did it for 2 streams of the week, and the following week I was already on Stream Elements OBS Studio. Like, just like, and that was purely because of, it wasn't even because of the copying thing. It was because of the excessive CPU usage. Like,
it's heavy.
StreamLabs OBS, it's heavy. It's heavy. Like, I was using, without any major overlays or anything, because I was still new to streaming and didn't know how to make everything, using just a basic setup, I was still drawing about 32% CPU usage, and it's luckily that I was only playing a retro game at the time, which is why my stream went so fluidly. If I was playing a AAA title, there's no way it would have lasted.
I always wondered why beginners always started off with StreamLabs, and I understand, you know, it is just, you know, one-click imports for overlays and stuff like that. And Stream Elements, for example, as someone who was even making overlays, I found it cumbersome at the very start. You know, it does require more work. It's not as seamless as StreamLabs. But at the same time, if you care about content creation, even in the slightest, take the extra hour to learn something new, learn how to make it better. Streaming is a whole lot more than just streaming. You know, it's not just playing a game and talking to people. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on in the background too, and you need to kind of put in the time to learn that and appreciate that. I always used to say, it was in my first year of streaming, and I spent as much time off stream learning and researching and developing all these skills as much time as I spent streaming, because there's no point in my stream being the same quality every single time I stream. You want progression. You want, you know, your streams to get better. You want to have more interactivity maybe, or you want something that's, you know, a bit more personal. And if I see someone streaming and they're just using like a bog standard free overlay from StreamLabs, you know, I was like, I know you don't really care about this, and you didn't put in the time to learn this a bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I kind of felt that way about Triggerfire at first. Now, don't get me wrong, Triggerfire is a great starting point for anyone that wants to have channel point redeems that turn to have like videos and all that, memes and stuff play. But it was only until I saw you do it that then I actually took the time to go to Nutty. Obviously, he's a successful YouTuber who lives here in Australia and streamer as well. I went to his channel and watched how to pretty much how to put Touch Portal together. And since doing that, I've now expanded on so much more that I could do on my stream than what Triggerfire was allowing me to do. While I'm thankful that Triggerfire sort of gave me a foot in the door to add some production value to my stream, because I took that time to learn more with Touch Portal, so much more stuff has been able to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got camera angles changing, and you know, because you do it yourself, you've got, you know, camera angles changing, you know, all sorts of you know, raindrops coming over and that sort of stuff, and nested scenes all play a big part of it, and then you know, just all that stuff. When you learn it all, it just it adds a lot more to your repertoire, and it's a good tool to have.
110%. I have like 4 different intermission screens just because I don't like looking at the same scene. So why would my viewers? You know what I mean? Putting in the time and effort into your overlays to make it unique is definitely a big major one. You know, especially when you're like new. Obviously, now if you're someone like Ms. Kiff now and you just have, you know, just your webcam and stuff, it's like that's fine. You know, they have their own niche. They have, you know, people coming in and out. You know what I mean? They have a lot of guests. But when it's just you in your room alone, you need to, you know, pull attention somehow. You know, you want people to look at your stream. This is how I always seem to look at it was. You want people to look at your stream and be like, how the fuck did he do that? And like that's really what I've always kind of gone for. Like, I don't even know if you remember, but like the Pokemon game that I used to have on my Twitch streams where you had to use channel points to try catch Pokemons that appeared on screen and stuff. Like, people were like, how the fuck did you do that? And it's like, you know what I mean? I do offer as much as I can and how much I'm willing to edit down to try and explain how it works. But sometimes you do make stuff and it's just too hard to explain what you do, or it's just too personal to your channel to be able to, you know, specifically say, you know, like I could be using like not 7 different things, but I could be using like Touch Portal and Leorn board at the same time, doing 2 different things for the exact one thing that people want to understand. And it's just like, it's too complex to teach you. I'm not that good of a teacher to be able to explain how to do this. That's where learning these tools like Leorn board, Touch Portal, even if you just have an Elgato Stream Deck, there's still 101 different things that you have to do. Sadly, I've had to kind of move that way and away from Touch Portal because of the Elgato mic. I have no way to control the different audios with it, and there's no external API. I believe there's ways to like rig in like voice meter and stuff, but I just haven't been asked to configure that all stuff really. Especially now, I'm going a lot more offline content, so, you know, trying to figure stuff out like that's just not fully necessary for me. But yeah, StreamLabs OBS, your StreamLabs Studio now. You're a piece of shit.
Pretty much.
Please change.
Piece of shit.
just stop being
and don't call. And I remember now that you mentioned about the Elgato Stream Deck ripoff. They literally called it Stream Deck.
Yeah. StreamLabs.
It doesn't get more It doesn't get more plagiaristic than that.
Yeah.
Like when we go to buy one or we refer to a Stream Deck, we literally don't say the word Elgato. We know it's an Elgato product, but we literally don't go, I use an Elgato Stream Deck. People generally go, I use a Stream Deck. And that's the first thing that comes to mind. And that's what they did. They pretty much did find how to be a #1 search on Google fucking 101 bullshit.
What it all comes down to.
That's exactly what they did. They went, oh, well, let's call it what can we call it? How about if we call it Stream Deck? Then people, And trust me, it does. Everyone, I mean, it's not nice that they did it, but it happens. Like, I looked up Uber Eats on Google the other day, and fucking DoorDash comes up first because they've obviously
they pay for it.
They've worked out some way. They've paid for it to get up the top of the list. But that's the reason why they did it.
Yeah, it all comes down to the SEO. As many people as possible being able to find their products first. That's why they had OBS. That's why they had the name Stream Deck. Yeah, it's just shady ass business practices, and that's not even half of it because there was a lot more that goes on internally too. Like, there was tweets I saw from like ex-workers from StreamLabs, and they were straight up saying like, oh yeah, if we tried to do the ethical thing, we're fired. You know what I mean? Just some shady stuff. I suppose we can kind of move on to our next topic, which is the browser streaming software discussion. Now, I was kind of mentioning Lightstream before, and I do really, really like the idea of it. Imagine not having to make sure that your computer has enough power to be able to do the stream. Imagine if you just had a way to just play the game, share that inside a browser, and then do it. And it's possible, but if you're someone who does like a very customized streaming experience, such as using tools like TouchPortal on your onboard and stuff, it's just not possible. I couldn't even get transitions in Lightstream. And there are some really, really weird things. They have two different versions. I don't know if you know much about Lightstream, Rav.
Not necessarily. I heard of it, and I did look a little bit into it, but not fully.
They have two different suites or whatever they call them. So they have Studio and Gamer. So if you want to use all the power of Studio, which is basically just OBS in a browser, they don't recommend that you play games on it because it's only like a really basic screen share. And there might be like some weird tearing and artifacting and stuff like that. It's just not the quality.
Okay.
And if you want to use Gamer, you lose a lot of the functionality of it. And I couldn't even figure out a way to get, let's say, for example, if your OBS doesn't have a game source, it's just a black screen, you can put an image behind it so that way you have something on your background.
Yeah.
It's not possible. It literally just says no game detected when you're not playing a game. It seems to be for like people who are just trying at the very start, and that's okay. But the pricing does not. I don't know. It needs a lot more work.
So this is pardon me.
Bless you.
So this is a paid service, you're saying?
It's paid service.
It's a paid service. They've got two separate modes they can use, but they don't complement each other in a way. So
yeah, you can only use one or the other
without the. That's backwards thinking to me. I mean, come on, not even StreamLabs got it backwards.
Yeah,
I don't know. Is that a fair comment to say? They plagiarized and they didn't do that. Like, I don't know. Look, I guess I know. I think who was it? Oh, I'm thinking. No, you know what? No, I actually haven't heard of Lightstream. Sorry, I'm thinking of Lumia Stream, and that's different. That's lighting control.
Okay.
Because I know someone on Twitch that actually uses that. And they have that. It's like a alternative. It's like a. I mean, TouchPortal works in conjunction with Lumia, but that's another thing. But it's similar to that. Right. But Lightstream, no, I haven't heard of.
I can give you a pricing. Sorry.
Yeah, give me a pricing bracket. What do they charge for it?
So for Lightstream, if you only want Gamer, it starts off at $8 a month, and that will give you 720p, 30 FPS. If you want to move up to 60 FPS, it's $8. If you want 1080 30, it's $16. There's no 1080 60 option. Now, Lightstream kind of started as a way for console streamers. You know the way how on like your Xbox and your PlayStation, you can like stream directly to Twitch and stuff?
Yeah.
This basically was a way for these people to add an overlay. That's completely fine. I am not dissing that whatsoever. That's a nice way for people to be able to do that without owning a powerful PC. But that pricing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you think about it. How do I put it? You think about long-term costs, right? Okay, I don't know. Let me grab my phone here. Calculator. Because
he's doing maths. He's doing maths.
Dude, you got 33 and a third. No.
No, that's the monthly pricing. If you want the annual, it basically goes down $1 each way. So the $8 a month turns into $7 a month. The 12 turns into 11. No one should ever buy the 1080 30 because no one wants to stream at 30 FPS, right? So
that's what I said. It's a waste, man. Like, I used to run my webcam at 30 FPS and I hated it. Now look at me. I mean, technically, big reveal secret, the Canon EOS M200 only does come out a natural 1080p at 50 FPS, but it's still better than 30.
It's still better.
But in saying that, I was just doing the calculation then. On the basic plan, it's $96 a year. If they play paid monthly Obviously, it comes down if you buy annually.
Mm-hmm.
But my point in that is let's say, look, for that money, I mean, just to not have I guess what I'm trying to get at. It's better for me. I find it to be a waste of money because, and I say this in the sense, like, it's a good option for console streamers, fine. But if you do, like you said, going back to the argument you said before of if you don't take it seriously, it shows, right? So if you're going to go down that path of light streams, the way we're going to go, like podcasts and stuff, cool, no sweat. But for gaming streamers and like Twitch streamers, YouTube streamers, all that sort of thing, hell, Trovo, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go down that path of using Lightstream, paying that monthly fee, upscaling the monthly fee to the highest one to get 1080, say you do want 1080/30, right? So what's 1080/30? Is that 3 times that? It's like $24?
If you're getting the annual plan, it's 14. It's 14 a month on an annual plan.
Okay. So let's say 14 times 12, it's $168, right? That's what? US
dollars.
Okay, right. So let's work that out. So that's for someone like me in Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's times that by 1.5, then times that by 12. So that's $252 a year.
But I have a curveball.
I can own a PC.
I have a curveball.
I can own a PC and buy Xbox GamePass Ultimate a month. Like, you know what I mean? And I could put on much better 1080, 60 frames per second gaming content. Like, yeah, sure, I'd have to fork out money for a PC, but if I wasn't a console gamer, I'd have that money to begin with, like the way console pricing's going. Like,
what about the folks who can't buy a GPU due to the shortage, though? That's my curveball for you. There's no GPU.
Okay.
A GPU that costs $200 is now $400 or $500.
Depends where you are. Because they are actually putting a legislation in place in the US. They're passing a bill as we speak to stop bots from over-purchasing on goods to stop supply.
Okay.
So they're encrypting something cyber. I don't know the full technical.
Yeah, they're adding like a new captcha type of thing or something.
I think it was Review Tech USA's YouTube channel or someone, or it might have been Jay's 2 cents. They mentioned, it might have been, I think it was Review Tech USA. He mentioned that there's a bill being passed in the US and approved by Joe Biden himself to put, like, in part to help the retail sector and stuff like that, to stop bots going online and clogging up all the available quantities.
Okay.
And to stop scalpers and stuff taking advantage of it. So that's pretty much, and especially in China as well, they're starting to enforce cryptocurrency out of the country. They're putting rules down to stop people mining for cryptocurrency, and they're making cryptocurrency practically useless over there. That's why everyone's trying to sell their stocks.
Yeah.
So the whole point of the GPU scalping and the hoarding of that is either people are cryptocurrency mining or they're trying to sell to the highest bidder and make 3 times the worth of the card. I was lucky enough. Pardon me again.
No good.
I was lucky enough to get a RTX 3070 Ti from a reputable computer shop at a normal price because they had it in stock. But yeah, I did have to search for it because cards weren't available everywhere.
Yeah.
But there was stock, here, dribs and drabs here, there, and then you got to try and find the best price for it. But I guess my point is the answer to those who can't get a GPU shortage, again, it depends on where you are. Sorry, I worded that badly. My point is to those who are having trouble with the GPU shortage, then I would probably suggest this as an alternative in the short term. Then keep a track on those GPU shortages, whether they actually disappear. And even buy your components bit by bit. That's how I did my setup. I never bought any of this in one hit. I bought the monitor. I got the laptop first, and I bought the monitor and the microphone second, and then I got lighting third. And
I don't know anybody who's ever just outright fully bought their custom PC. Everyone I know who's ever just it's like, okay, so this month, I'll get the CPU, and then next month I'll get the graphics card.
Okay. Well, I guess I live in a country where we have a little thing called Afterpay. I don't know if it exists around the rest of the world. We have a thing called Afterpay, and I got my PC on that because I had a limit that allowed me to get up to a certain amount of dollar value. On I think it was a year ago, actually, a Boxing Day sale last year.
Mm-hmm.
I worked out all my parts, put them in a cart, placed an order, put a deposit down on Afterpay, and I had 8 weeks to pay it off, or 8 to 10 weeks to pay it off. And I got it paid off within the first 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave me time to build that money up, and they held on to my parts for me.
Yeah. So obviously, if financing is an option, go for it.
Yeah. So if you can do that, and there's no interest on that either. So if you can do that, then cool. But
110%. You know what I would love to see? You know what I would absolutely love? I would love a software like OBS with the full power behind it on a browser. I would happily pay to be able to have that ability, because that doesn't lock you down to only streaming on your good computer. Let's say if you're someone like me, I have my gaming and streaming laptop here, I have my MacBook, I have my Surface Pro, I can only really stream on this one thing. But if I wanted to do something else on a Mac, I'd have to try get capture cards. Now the new M1 chips, compatibility is a bit of a dick. It can be a bit complicated. I would love to be able to have the option to have OBS the way it is right now in a browser, pay for that server to be able to do everything, and then easy peasy. Because that would even make it so much easier for collaborative streams. So let's say if me and you, Ravage, we both had our webcams on, we both were streaming our game, and then you just have your Stream Deck or your Touch Portal or whatever changing scenes to showing whoever's game is playing. It would completely revolutionize streaming teams.
Yeah, could you imagine how much easier it would have been for us to run those tournaments back then if we had that option? Exactly.
Everyone just send everyone the link, play the game. This is it, and we just click on whoever's. This
is where you stream, or even if they wanted to multi-stream, right? Mm-hmm. If they multi-stream, they could multi-stream to. There should be a way to be able to multi-stream to the browser site for the tournament, and then if they wanted to do it on their own channel, I don't know, for whatever reason, recording content or whatever, put it behind a Patreon paywall and only give private links on YouTube or whatever, they could do that. They go, right, if you just want to see my perspective, this is where you go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, catch me and everybody else at the site that you said. And that's a wicked idea.
You can literally use the local your own local OBS for your own personal one, but then you also have the other one then on the browser going to the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I want.
That would be a brilliant. That'd be a brilliant idea.
I would pay top money for that. If someone knows something that can do
Anyone
that,
listening,
I'd love it. Yeah.
Get on it, mate. Get on it.
Oh, Rockstar, Ravage. Rockstar.
Oh, I've been waiting for this one. I have been waiting for this one. So, I'll take the lead on this one. Now, as everyone is probably aware, because it's been beaten to death, it's like beating a dead horse, getting a different opinion, except I'll get to mine. Rockstar decided, instead of releasing GTA 6 in 2021, they delayed it. No, sorry, it wasn't GTA 6. It was GTA 5 for PS5 and Xbox Series X. Instead of releasing those in November of 2021, they decided, no, we're going to delay those till 2022. But in place of that, we're going to give you guys a taste of some classics, some nostalgia. We are going to give you Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas as a triple pack remastered. Call it a definitive edition, right? And release it in place of that to celebrate 20 years since Grand Theft Auto 3 came out on PlayStation 2. Now, came out in 2001. Now, I have a soft spot for Grand Theft Auto, as everyone else does. We run you and some of the other members of G4 or gang, rather, sorry, run the GTA RP servers for Gang Worlds and do a great job of that. I'm actually looking to jump into that soon. So everyone's got a connection with GTA. For me, GTA 3 was the first game that I ever got into a PlayStation 2. When I first ever saw a PlayStation 2 working, playing anything at the age of 13, that was the first game I saw. Yeah. That and WWF SmackDown Just Bring It. So it was that was the first game I saw, GTA 3. Then Vice City was the first one I owned. And San Andreas was the first one I bought with my own money because I was working an actual job as a 16-year-old. That's right. I was 16 playing GTA. Oh, kill me.
I was 7.
Anyway. Shows our age difference. Fucking hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, cut to the chase. They released these games. The first problem was that the games came out all buggy as shit. They didn't come out. There were so many things wrong with it. The graphics didn't impress everybody. There were issues with the game coming. The game came out and then it was unavailable. I went looking for it on the PlayStation Store first. It just kept coming out saying this content's not available. So I thought, oh, maybe it's because I was just before the release date or something, but fuck knows what happened. Anyway, the next day it was available, but then I'm reading all these reports before I could even buy the game. It went up on the PC for a day. People bought it, and then Rockstar Social Club went into maintenance, right? The Rockstar launcher. Then all these reports came out about missing bridges in San Andreas, the rain textures, Jesus Christ, the rain in GTA 3 and the other two games. The opening scene in GTA 3, if anyone, spoiler alert, if you haven't played it, you've been living under a rock. But the opening scene in GTA 3 is a prison transport scene over the Callahan Bridge in Liberty City. Now, they're going over the bridge, the rain's coming down, you literally can't see shit, right? Because all you see is these white lines coming down, right? White lines. They literally just put plastered white lines as rain, and it's got like a weird, like, chroma key effect. So, like, the rain was coming down, and there are some parts of the Callahan Bridge that were appearing in front of the rain, and it just looked like the rain was falling behind it. Like, it was like a transparent sort of like blend mask bullshit. God. Oh, it looked so bad, right? I played this on stream, and gave my pros and cons about it. So they had this issue. They had several issues with the graphical side of it. But the way Rockstar handled it was what everyone's problem was. So you had these games coming out on the console versions. They ran like shit. It came out on PC, but then it was taken down. After Rockstar launch went offline for maintenance, it came back online for maintenance, but then they said they came back on after 3 days. Sorry, it was down for 3 days, which stopped anyone playing not just the Definitive Edition trilogy. It stopped everyone playing Red Dead Redemption Online, Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto 4 if you had it on there. Any of the Rockstar titles that were there, you couldn't play them. The worst part about all of this is that they actually removed the original 3 versions of the game from any platform. You could not get them, except for iOS and Android, which I'll get to. But on PC, PS4, Xbox One, or Series X, or PS5, you couldn't get any of the original PS2 versions of the game anywhere. They were gone. I took them away because these were meant to replace them. Anyway, they brought back the Rockstar launcher 3 days later, but then the games were still, the 3 games still couldn't be played. And they put a tweet out saying, due to files that were left into the source, into the unintended to be left in the game, we have to keep the game sound until we can remove the files. Now, a lot of speculation was, it's just, music they don't have the licenses for, they can just easily remove that. No, it was worse. They actually left the hot coffee mod from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas
Fuck off.
in the code. No, they did. They left the source code, and it was plastered all over Reddit that they actually left the sex minigame from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And the funny thing is, and this is the kicker, it gets even worse. After watching videos and following up on this whole story, it was the source code's been left in the mobile versions of the game and never removed. It was in the original games, and there was that big lawsuit that caused it to be removed or whatever, or updated and patched out. Even out of the PlayStation 4 re-releases as PS2 Arcade, they coded it out so they could patch it out so you couldn't access it. But the actual code in the iOS and Android games is still there. So if there's a way, if there's anyone out there that knows how to hack it, they can actually access it. They haven't removed it to this day. It's still sitting in there. And then on top of that, they left it in during the definitive edition release. You would think after the very first thing, 17 years ago, you would think after the very first incident that cost them a bucket load of money, that they would actually remove the source code there and then from the original file. But they didn't do it. They left it in there. They just patched it out and went, oh yeah, I'm sure we're never going to need this.
That hurts.
They left it in. And anyway, so people were absolutely shitting on this game. They were calling it as bad in the launch as Cyberpunk 2077. However, in my experience, and based on factual evidence, I'm here to tell you, people can react to this and say opposite as much as they want. This launch is not, and I repeat, definitely is not worse than Cyberpunk 2077.
You don't think so?
The reason why? No, I don't. The reasons I give are not all platforms of the game played up. Yes, they're not all platforms of the game played up all the time. Like, yes, there were frame rate issues on Nintendo Switch. Kind of expected. It's a fucking Nintendo Switch. But yes, it is a PlayStation 2 game, but they remastered it and heavier textures and added all this. And they did silly things like take the fog out, and you could see the entire scope of the level. And it was like, oh, all of a sudden the map's small. What the fuck? The problem with it is that everyone's expectations of this was that it was meant to be a remake. It was never, ever intended to be a remake. Rockstar made that very clear from the get-go. I'm not defending the practices they did. They wouldn't give refunds to the people that experienced... they were pretty shoddy about it in that sense. They weren't going to give refunds to the people who bought the game on PC and couldn't play it for 3 days. They didn't give any refunds to the people who were dissatisfied. They weren't going to give refunds to the people who were dissatisfied on PS4 and Xbox One, 5 and Series X, respectively. It's just they weren't going to do that. The practices were pretty shady, but overall, the games didn't actually not function properly. Like, the games didn't not function on everything properly. Mm-hmm. The PC version actually, for the most part, ran okay, because that's what I got it on. I got it on PC. Besides the texture issues and maybe a little bit of frame drops, the game never crashed.
Mm-hmm.
The game, there was a coding error, which I put up in our Discord.
Mm-hmm.
There was a coding error where you actually had to change. I had to watch a video in German to figure that out.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I looked up on YouTube, and this guy in German's like, I don't know how to do a German accent. Heigen, Flagen, config. And I'm like, oh, he said config. I don't understand German. But he said config, so I'm going to go with that. So that's not racist towards German people. I literally just didn't know what he was saying. So he said config, and he goes to, you type in these digits, and next thing you know, my game launched. Like, yay, it worked. But when I played the games on PC, they ran for the most part okay. There was some issues with the mechanics in certain games, like GTA had great driving mechanics but shitty shooting mechanics. Then Vice City had great shooting mechanics and shitty driving mechanics. Like, it's horrible to drive in that game. It still is. It hasn't changed.
Yeah. Even
with after the patches. But then you go to San Andreas, the driving's fine, the shooting's fine, but the graphics look like they haven't been touched. You might as well just go and play the fucking PS2 version at this point.
That makes me feel better, because I own San Andreas, the original one, on Steam, and I was kind of contemplating, like, do I buy the definitive edition? But now you've sold me. I'm not changing.
Yeah. Now, look, for those of you who haven't bought it, I would wait till it comes down. I bought it just as a bit of an experiment to see how it would go. I started playing... I've got all three on PS4, the original versions. And I started playing GTA 3, and I'm, like, most of the way through the second island. Mm-hmm. I'm actually probably further on the PC definitive now. They have released patches, and they've got more patches coming. They fixed the rain. That's the fucking hallelujah bit. Yeah, they actually fix the rain, and it doesn't look shit. It looks really nice. Like, if you look at all the games going across the board, GTA 3 looks like an absolute brilliant piece of work now compared to what it was back in its heyday.
Awesome.
But the thing is, right, everyone had these high expectations that it was going to be a remake. It never was. or they expected, oh my god, this is a definitive edition. It doesn't look anything like GTA 5. It never was meant to look like GTA 5.
Yeah.
Rockstar said in the press release, we are going to update the textures and add modernized textures and make it a bit more fresh and bring it up to date with the look and resolutions and high fidelity, while maintaining the classic feel and nostalgia the game brought the people all those many years ago.
Yeah.
It specifically says that, right? Yes, modders have done a fantastic job over the years. Thank you, modders. I agree, Rockstar shouldn't have targeted them. Fine. At the same time, an argument could also be made that it's Rockstar's intellectual property, but then again, we wouldn't have roleplay servers if that was really such an issue. So clearly it isn't. There's obviously being picky. And again, there was a cash grab attempt here. I'm not going to deny that. Rockstar releasing this in place of the GTA 5, which is technically a cash grab anyway, for PS5 and Xbox Series X. Them releasing this is still a cash grab, just in a different form. And most of us idiots fell for it. At the end of the day, I don't think this is a worse launch than Cyberpunk 2077 because they actually tried to fix the issue a lot quicker than who made Cyberpunk?
CD Projekt Red.
Again? Thank you, CD Projekt Red. So they actually took longer. I actually looked it up when the first updates came out for GTA Definitive and Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk took, I think, 3 weeks longer for the first patches to come out, and even now to this day, I'm hearing that Cyberpunk is still having major issues.
Oh yeah.
The problem with Cyberpunk is they made a game that was for next gen consoles and expected today's hardware to run it. It wasn't made to do so. That was the problem. And the problem with GTA Definitive Edition was they rushed it. They didn't give it enough time. It should have baked in the oven a bit longer. And it has the potential to run seamlessly on any of this hardware because the original games did. And the fact that they rushed it and gave it to a mobile port team is pretty bad. I personally feel, I know I've dragged on about this, I personally feel that Rockstar were definitely in the wrong for throwing Grove Street Games under the bus like that. Grove Street Games is like a team, like a minimal staff. There's only like, I think it's like 21 or there's not that many staff, 21 or 25 staff. And they threw the job to them, and then it turned out bad. And then Rockstar turned around and went, oh, that's not up to our standards, and we apologize. And this is definitely not what we expected for a game. It's like, but you own the subsidiary for the company.
Yeah.
Like,
you had to approve of it going live in this current state. Like, they didn't just say, okay, we're done, and then just pushed it. You should have had to, but so many games fall to this. Like, I think the Batman Arkham Knight is the big one that comes to mind, just with big studios just paying tiny studios minimum amount of money to port this game, to put it on all these platforms. And it turns out like shit. And then they try to point the finger at someone else. It's like, you hired them. If I hired you, Rav, to edit a video for me, and you tell me, okay, that video is done, and I straight up and publish it, and then people say, oh, this thing was wrong, it's like, that's not your fault. Like, at the end of the day, that's not your fault. It's my fault for publishing it. I should have went over everything, double-checked everything that you've done, and if I had, let's say I found a bug or I found an issue, I come back to you and I say, hey, this is actually wrong. Can we fix this? Yep, cool, no bother at all. Do it. Make sure it's functional. Make sure it is what it's meant to be. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that was the thing. Its quality assurance just wasn't taken at this point. There was no quality assurance. There was no double checking of anything. And that did show on the initial release. But the difference is for the most part, the games are still playable. See, the Cyberpunk 2077 was not playable. People were saying it was not playable. There were people like, there was just shit going wrong with it. It was like lagging. It was slow. Things weren't rendering. Like, I saw clips of people trying to play it on PS4, and they'd be standing there with a gun or standing there in first person, and like 3 meters in front of them was still rendering.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad. Like, when a game does not even render in front of you, that's bad. Like, at least GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, yes, they had their moments. Yes, there were they had to adjust to 60 frames per second because all the games were never released like that. So everything moved faster. So adjusting to 60 frames per second, yes, if you jump out of a car that's going to explode, you don't have that much time to fucking run away with it. Run away from it, which makes sense. And yes, they've now fixed that in the patch. But other than those little things, it's not that the game was unplayable. Like, before the patch came out for GTA 3, I got up to Second Island and had no real issues with it, besides the fucking rain. That's literally it. Yeah. Besides the horrendous rain that I couldn't see through. And the gun mechanics in some instances, like, that was it. Like, I literally had no problem playing the game, and it felt just like playing the other version with slightly better things. And the radio worked fine. The story was still investing. You know, like, I've had, you know, obviously these people have obviously put more and more hours into it. Like, I never came across that bridge glitch. I've only seen it in videos in San Andreas, and now it's been fixed. Like, the bridge shows up and doesn't disappear anymore. So it's all been fixed, and a lot of the major issues have been done. Yes, there's some things they can do to tweak it and improve it to make it more definitive, but I don't buy into the bullshit that all these other YouTubers are coming out with, saying this is not a definitive edition because it doesn't look like GTA 5 or GTA 4 for that matter.
Yeah,
like
they're just looking for people to listen to them at that point. You know, they just want to be the negative guy just so they can jump on the bandwagon.
It's clout, and they should shut the fuck up.
Yeah, there you go.
That's where I'm going to leave that. Thank you.
I'm just going to keep this rolling for a minute.
Yeah. Thank you. Vote.
Vote
Ravage for president. Vote Ravage for minister, prime minister, president, and governor. Just enjoy the games for what they are and stop fucking whinging.
Exactly.
At least Rockstar may be shady at times, and it's proven. But at least they've now... the last patch, you want to know how many bugs were in that? Or how many bug fixes were in the last patch? 117.
Shit, okay. Yeah.
You can't possibly tell me they're not at least making an effort to rectify it.
Yeah.
And they've now announced that anyone who purchases the game between now, Definitive Edition, on any platform, between the release date and I think May next year, they're bringing back free access to the 3 original games in case you still want to get them.
Oh, then, yeah. That's actually fucking absolutely great, yeah.
So they're doing
at least you get the originals and the definitive with the one.
Yeah, you get the originals and the definitives for the price of the definitives now. So
right. No one can complain about that. Absolutely not a single person can. Right.
Maybe the hot coffee mod's still available.
No, I don't like this one, Ravage. I don't like this one.
Okay, go on.
I don't like it.
I put this topic in here.
I don't like it.
I'll give you a little secret. I just watched a video from a very reputable YouTuber that we both referred to about this, and that was what took me to put this in here. But you can lead this one.
YouTube. We all know where I'm going with this one. The big news out of YouTube this month has been the fucking stupid removal of the dislike button.
Correction. It's not removal of the dislike button. It's removal of the public counts of dislikes on people's videos.
Sorry. It may as well be removed. Because I'm gonna give you a first-hand instance of this. And this is like the main complaint that I see all over Twitter. And I've experienced it firsthand. You need to learn how to do something. You're trying to figure something out. You need a tutorial, right?
Yep.
First thing I do when I click on a tutorial is I check the like and dislike ratio. This tells me if this works, if it's not still active, if it's outdated and it doesn't make sense anymore. People are going to dislike it. That's how you know, okay, not this one. This one is going to waste 15, 20, even an hour of my time. I'm not going to watch this one. I'm going to find another one. I spent about 30 minutes the other day. I've been trying to get my own personal YouTube statistics inside of a spreadsheet. So this way, me and my editors, we can go and we can show, how many current subscribers we have, how many current views are on particular videos, so we know what's working well and what's not working well. I found a video on YouTube that could basically tell me how to do that, basically by adding the Social Blade link into it and then calling that into particular cells, asking for different things. Not complicated shit, right? I'll tell you this. I'll give you the TLDR. It didn't fucking work, right? And it took about a good bit of scrolling down in the comments to eventually find, no, this doesn't work anymore. Social Blade or Google Sheets, somewhere along the way, this functionality has been removed. I don't know, whose fault it is. I couldn't find anything like that. You know what would have been really fucking helpful, YouTube? Being able to see the amount of dislikes that video had gotten, so I know that that doesn't work and to try to find another solution, which I still haven't actually found. So, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to try to find something, of value without the dislike.
Yes. Now, this is where I 100% in agreement with you. The whole purpose of it was to be able to help us, as yes, it does give exposure either way of the spectrum, positive or negative, either way of the spectrum, to decide whether it's good or bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
It pushes it out there and lets us know. That's how the algorithm works. It informs us in that way.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not one for stealing people's material, so I will reference it was YouTuber Devin Nash's video that I watched. And he actually brought up a very interesting point, and I agree with his point 100% with what he said. Everyone was saying that, and what he had brought up in the video was, everyone has been saying, why are they doing it? Like, is it because, they're trying to protect the corporations? Advertisers aren't liking the massive dislikes and everything else, the public image of corporations. But the evidence that was produced by Devin was that YouTube had doubled their ad revenue in the last fiscal year. They doubled from $7 billion to $14 billion in ad revenue and in payments from big corporations for all the advertising they've been doing by the amount of increase in monetized content creators and the amount of views that have gone up and people watching stuff while they're in lockdown and that. So big corporations can give a shit. It's nothing to do with the big corporations with what unless it's really scandalous, there's nothing bad about it. Nothing to do with that. The issue we have is, Devin Nash said, what if I was to tell you that it is exactly what the dude in the YouTube video who then explained the change it's actually what he said it is. And that is, they've removed the count of dislikes because he thinks people who have more dislikes than likes is a result of people spamming the dislike button because they didn't like what that creator was doing, or didn't like that creator's opinion, or didn't like that creator's content.
Mm-hmm.
Now, funny that someone not liking a creator's content. Why have the dislike button there if you can't express your dislike for a content?
Yeah.
Or dislike for a creator's point of view, right? Last time I checked, that's destruction of freedom of speech. And this is where I agree with Devin Nash. We're turning into a passive-aggressive society where no one's allowed to be real with each other anymore because they're afraid someone's going to get offended. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what it is. Nothing to do with the corporations, nothing to do with what, how much money you get or don't get from those said corporations. It literally becomes down to they're trying to create this safe space because that's, YouTube needs to be a safe space. Like Twitch did with their community guidelines, needs to be a safe space. Except the difference was there's no real like or dislike button with Twitch. It was people actually going in there and being abusive. Yeah. That I agree with. People going into people's chats and abusing people during the stream is not on. Mm-hmm. And that needed to be addressed because I've dealt with it personally. I'm sure you've dealt with it personally. And we know about 20 other freaking content creators that have done it, right? Mm-hmm. But with YouTube, a dislike button is just a way of indicating whether the video is either, like you said, outdated, it's a scam, just not the principle of the video does not apply anymore, whether the content was badly produced, or even so, if it's something that's in bad taste.
Yeah. If
it's something that's in bad taste, we as human beings should have a right to dislike the video and put it out there and let those numbers show that there's a general consensus. Yes, this is in bad taste. This is not in bad taste, or whatever the case may be.
Do you want to know?
And that's the problem. Continue.
Do you want to know what I would even take as a compromise? Fuck the numbers. I don't even care about the numbers. There used to be the little bar below it, and it was like green and red, and it was basically kind of like a ratio. So like, let's say if let's say if there was like a 50-50, there was like 10 likes and 10 dislikes, the bar would be in the middle with the green and the red or whatever color. I don't think it was green, but I remember definitely it was red on the other side anyway. At least give me this bar. At least show me the general consensus that viewers think of this video, so I can make some sort of educated decision if do I want to risk it and watch this video or not. Because this could be so fucking dangerous. You know what I mean? This could be so dangerous, like scams and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it's...
the YouTube, even Devin Nash said the YouTube video that they put out explaining the change, before they took the count away, because they hadn't taken it away when the video went up. They put the video up and then did the change, right? The video went up and had 25,000 likes and 130,000 dislikes. Now you'll never see that because they took the counter away.
Yeah.
So this looks like 25,000 people are all in agreement with this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But the problem is the removal of right to free speech is becoming a problem. No one's real with each other anymore. I think everyone's becoming too soft. I know that there's a line to be drawn with stuff that you say. There's no need to go out and be vicious to people. There's no need to go out and say anything racist, homophobic, bigoted, that sort of thing. But if we don't like a certain video because, one, it doesn't either do what it's meant to, it's clickbaity, and it shouldn't be, and clickbaity is like the most annoying thing to have to deal with as a content creator. Whether it's, like I said, not relevant, clickbaity, scam, the content's just not liked, or it's a creator. Like, how many people out there dislike Keemstar, for Christ's sake? Yeah. So many people dislike that guy because of just how much shit he says. Like, I saw a video he put out on Twitter, and there's no dislike button on Twitter, funnily enough. He put a video out on Twitter saying, no one's playing any games anymore on stream, they're jumping on there and blah, blah, blah. Grab your controller and play some fucking games. It's like, there are other types of content creators out there. Like,
he doesn't play games.
Yeah, that's rich coming from someone who runs Drama Alert as a TV show. Or he did run Drama Alert. He's recently quit. But see how long that lasts. Anyway, someone who runs Drama Alert as a news show. It's nothing to do with games. He pits one streamer against another and starts shit. So, that's rich coming from him. Yes, he started as a Halo troller or whatever, or Call of Duty troller. But, going into that, that's what he does. And it's rich for him to say that. But... there are heaps of people who dislike his content, but now, like, that ratio will never get told. Someone who's completely new to the scene. Like, I only knew who Keemstar was like a couple of months ago because I was watching another YouTuber who's put a whole lot of expose videos out about different big-name content creators and their rise and fall and all that stuff. So, so that's how I kept up to date with those sorts of things. But before that, I didn't know who half these people were. Going into the content world, I just thought... stayed in my own lane and, watch the people I watched for wrestling news and all that sort of shit,
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what I mean, like, there's so much babying and nanny stating everything. It's just so bad now. Why can I not say I don't like something? What? Like, yeah. Like, if I don't like something, I should be allowed to express that. Yeah. And taking away that freedom of expression is a problem.
Like, I even think that's just kind of even half-baked in such a way. Like, YouTube is really kind of the only social media off the top of my head anyway that has a downvote option. Obviously, not including Reddit.
Well, technically... Sorry to butt in. Technically, Facebook does, but they did it a different way. They did. They didn't do
the reaction
dislike
stuff.
Button. Yeah. They didn't do a dislike button or a dislike react. They put an angry face react. Yeah. So if someone puts something up, you can voice that you're angry about it. But again, it proves the same principle as a dislike button. You can dislike. What's it gonna do? Yeah. What's it gonna do?
Like right now, there's no need for those. Features, you know what I mean? There's no need now for the like or dislike button anymore. It's just redundant now. It's irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like liking or not liking or disliking or not disliking. It's not going to make the foggiest of a difference now. Do you know what I mean? I kind of wish now at this point just remove the dislike button because it's It's not needed. Maybe add different types of reactions. Maybe go the Facebook route with it. Do something, but the way it is right now is just a half-baked, half idea just from some fucking snowflake up on YouTube. Basically just going to be like, I'm getting dislikes and I don't like it. Do you know what I mean? They do need to figure out something else, because the whole community, like, if you like the change or not, everyone at least can agree that the solution right now should not be the permanent solution, because it's it's.
And my issue with it is that, like you said, either remove the dislike button altogether and just have likes, and either you like it or you just don't like it. Not like or dislike. Just go, if you either like it or you just don't like it. You don't have to voice that you don't like it if that's the way you want to go. Or, like you said, put the bar back and remove the like count. Yeah. That's what they should do.
Yeah, just don't show me a number. Just show me the ratio.
Just show you the ratio. Just have the like and the dislike button and a ratio next to it. No one needs to know how many people of the views took the time to like or dislike. Yeah. They won't have the mental capacity to work that out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Want to work that out.
I have a feeling if we keep talking about this one, I'm personally probably going to get too mad and I'll probably say stuff that I'll regret. So I think just moving on from this pure shitstorm, because to be honest, there's not much more that we can really say about it. Just YouTube and Google being YouTube and Google.
Yes.
PlayStation Spartacus has released, and it's basically going to be their version to GamePass. Ravage, have you looked into this?
I haven't fully looked into it. Now, this is again sourced from a video from Review Tech USA, who has had his say about the GDA trilogy and spoke about the anti-scammer bill they're trying to pass, the anti-bot scalper bill they're trying to pass in the US. He explained that it actually has been announced that PlayStation they're looking to. They've got a project in work called Project Spartacus. At the moment, in certain regions in the world, I know it's not available here in Australia. They have an option service called PlayStation Now, which is not PlayStation Plus. Don't get that confused. PlayStation Plus is your online membership, which guarantees you 3 free games a month if you have a PlayStation 5, or 2 free games a month if you have a PlayStation 4. It also gives you discounts across the range on certain games. Or like if they do a discount on sales, you get further discounts on those sales, etc. And of course allows for your online play, which is like the equivalent to Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah.
Now, what they've got those two services now. PlayStation Now is like a subscription service, kind of similar to Xbox Game Pass, but it's not available everywhere in the country, everywhere in the world. Sorry. Because, like I said, I don't have it in Australia. But now they've announced that PlayStation Spartacus, Spartacus is the project name. It's not the official name. They're looking to implement, coming into the new year, a equivalent to the Xbox Live Game Pass, because they need to be able to combat that. Xbox Game Pass is a phenomenal answer, a phenomenal option, to be perfectly fair. Whether you like Microsoft or not, it's a genius idea to be able to have a set subscription and you can get all the, for the most part, the high-end games on demand, day one, sometimes even a day early, depending if you go for the ultimate subscription or you pay that little bit extra or whatever the case may be. Like Forza Horizon 5 recently had you bought it cost about $60, but I never went for it. But if you bought the add-on pack while you had the Game Pass, then you got like 5 days, I think it was 4 days early access to the game.
Jeez, yeah.
So, they reward you for doing stuff like that. If you're going to invest extra money into them, they'll give you something back. But for the most part, games like Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, and now they've got that partnership with EA Play as well. Yeah. So you sign up for the Xbox Game Pass, you get instant access to every EA title under the standard EA Play membership. Not the ultimate, you'd have to pay extra for that.
Yeah.
But that's still a vast range of games. You won't get the new FIFA or
the new Battlefield, but you at least get, timed, you get like 14 days or something like that, or 40 hours. Even then, you get timed trial play for those new games. Look, not to give EA much credit because I know they're kind of seen as the devil right now, but
they do, offer 10 hours. Like, I've still got to go through mine. I haven't even done 10 hours of Madden NFL 22 yet because I've got that on my PC to try. I've been playing all the footage that I've done on my streams of FIFA 22 has all been part of the 10-hour trial play. I've still got like a couple of hours left.
Yeah.
Like, I've been playing Ultimate Team, playing against other teams online and all that sort of thing, trying to build my squad. And it's all been part of the trial period. I haven't actually paid a cent extra for the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So for PlayStation to jump on board and actually think for a change and go, right, how are we going to combat this? And especially when, from what I understand, even with the current console shortage, I know that PlayStation 5 seems to be in a little bit of trouble. Xbox Series X and S seem to be doing quite well in the sales department. I know here in Australia, they've only got S's available wherever you go, and they're still selling because even for that price point, you're not going to get a fucking PC at that price point that's going to perform that well for AAA titles. So people are just going for it if they don't want to buy a PC. So PlayStation or Sony have had to turn around and go, what are we going to do to combat this? So as far as I'm aware from the news that I know, they're looking at a tiered system. And they're going to start at I think it's a normal $9.99 US a month, or whatever it is, like what they would charge for a PlayStation Plus. But again, like the Xbox Game Pass, it includes your online capabilities to play. So, and the higher, this is the other kicker. This is what I was meant to say. The other kicker is they're going to go up in tiers, and the higher the tiers you go, I think the first tier allows you to play, because they're going to implement it when PlayStation 5s become more readily available. So the first tier will allow you to get PlayStation 4 and some 5 games. Tier 2 lets you get PlayStation 4 and 5 games, obviously, within a certain title range, like I said about games like Call of Duty and Battlefield and all those sorts of things that are all kind of tied to one developer might be a bit hard to be included. But like your PlayStation exclusives and like anything from Insomniac Games and all that sort of stuff will probably all be included in that.
Yeah.
That's the second tier. Sorry, the beer.
Yeah, okay.
The third tier, though, this is the kicker. The third tier, they're talking, which is, I'm not sure what the price point's going to be. You get PlayStation 4, or the whole back catalogue of PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and a certain select back catalogue of PlayStation 1, all playable on your console.
Ooh.
So, yes, you do have to pay for the service, but this is you're talking about getting a PlayStation 5, essentially. Say you get a PS5, and you can play everything in that back catalog. If you can get the game, download it, put it on your machine, it'll go back, it'll play anything back to the PlayStation 1. You don't have to worry about owning the disc. You don't have to worry about trying to see if things are retro back, because I know you have to worry about a certain list of games that'll go backwards. I know that Xbox can play backwards compatibility on a certain number of games, but the problem with that is their list is ever so changing. Eventually, they're going to phase out titles that never get touched.
With the Xbox at this kind of point in time now, like, you're more safe of presuming the game has backwards compatibility than not having the backwards compatibility. Yeah. That's one of the great things with the Xbox. Is that they do make sure that there is the backwards. Don't get me wrong. That's one thing Xbox did right compared to besides like Xbox One had that failed digital rights management announcement they tried to pull, and PlayStation took the mickey out of them by going, "Oh, how to share a game with your friends?" And then one guy gives a game to his mate and goes, "Here you go, thanks." Yeah. And then that was the end. Like, sure, they had their bit of banter with it, but besides that bit of bad launch or bad press they got, then they announced backwards compatibility. Phil Spencer, I'll be honest, Phil Spencer for Xbox has been an absolute godsend for them. Since he took the helm at Microsoft Games Division, things have been really good for them, and I can't fault them. He's had to work with what he had with the Xbox One release. When it first came out, it wasn't doing... It was like the same titles coming out on PS4 were only 30 frames per second half the time, and the performance wasn't as great. Updates are a pain in the ass to do every fucking second day on the Xbox One. I would know because I owned an Xbox One and then jumped ship
So, you know, and there's a lot of things that Xbox One had not so great compared to great. But then they released the newer versions like the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, which then, you know, did 4K, and Xbox One X at that point essentially became better than a PS4 Pro in hardware department. So the only problem is they released it late. But Phil Spencer's been a godsend, and this is what Sony has now had to try and compete with, because they know that he's an absolute genius of the marketing side, knowing what the gamers want, knowing, like, with the Game Pass essentially being a thing, he's hit a gold mine with it. So Sony needs to come. Sony just can't win anymore with, here's our hardware and here's what we can do, because we've always, for the most part, we've won in the hardware department compared to Xbox. Yeah. Now it becomes a matter of service. You know, it's not about the supply and demand necessarily and the hardware involved anymore. It's now the service. So in terms of the service, and trust me, I've seen it all online. I think for the last 6 months, every time they've announced a free game on PS Plus, it's been getting angry reacts all over Facebook, because the games aren't that great.
They're just
running
giving
out of
just
ideas.
Shit games for free just because they need to give a game, like.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, well, what's a couple of, and don't get me wrong, I love the game, and funnily enough, my wife and I actually 100% 3-starred every level. But a few months ago, they actually released Overcooked as their main free game, and the game came out 2016.
Yeah.
This was like 4 or 5 months ago. Your free game is Overcooked. It's like, we can get this on Game Pass, like on PC. Why would we get it? Why would we get it for PS Plus? Like, you know.
Yeah, that's. Oof. I love how Xbox is a service now and not a console. I love that. As someone who, you know, hasn't personally owned a console since 2013, 2014, I love the fact now that I can, you know, play with let's say, like my brother. My brother only has an Xbox. He doesn't play PC. He doesn't even own a PC. Like, so it's nice to being able to go, you know, do you want to jump on? Do you want to come play some Sea of Thieves together? You know, just, it breaks down a lot of walls. And I love that about the Xbox, how just, you know, whatever's available there is more than likely going to be available on the PC. And if not, you know, there's probably like a technical reason or a licensing reason why they can't do it or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's fantastic, you know. Like, I own Game Pass. I don't even regularly play any game on it, but I will still keep paying that subscription just because it's there when I need it.
It's handy to have.
Yeah. Like, if I wanted to go play Forza with you, instead of have to drop 60, 70 quid on a game, I can just start downloading it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
50. What's it? It's $5 Australian a month here for the standard version.
Mm-hmm.
I pay the ultimate because and the only reason I pay the ultimate because me being a wrestling fan. Shout out to my wrestling fans out there. Gears of War 5 or Gears 5 had the New Day as skins. So Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. Ooh. And Xavier Woods obviously runs the Up Down Down gaming channel for WWE. Or he's known as Austin Creed on his channel. The three of them were playable multiplayer characters, and you got like colorful versions of their outfit of the Gears armor and shit.
Okay.
So you had to be an Ultimate Game Pass member in a certain month to get them, and they'd all been scanned into the game. They did voiceovers and everything.
That's
I missed
crazy.
out on the fucking Batista one though. I really wanted the Batista one. That would have been fucking boss. And then they released him as Marcus Phoenix, and I fucking missed out again. He did the full they released him as a skin to be the character Marcus Phoenix, and he re-recorded all the lines that Marcus Phoenix spoke in the dialogue. So he went to a studio, re-recorded all the lines in his voice, so you could play Batista the role of Marcus Phoenix.
Jesus.
And I was like, I've totally fucking missed out on it too. But the other thing I was going to bring up was on this subject was the one advantage that Xbox is still going to have over PlayStation over this. And you mentioned it before when you said jumping on about Sea of Thieves, is the fact that certain titles that are Xbox exclusive, I'm pretty sure Sea of Thieves is Xbox exclusive, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes. So certain titles that are Xbox exclusive are going to have that cross-platform play. PlayStation won't have that feature because they don't have games that they're not a PC platform. They're a console platform.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have that cross-platform availability unless the game already factors it in, like Fortnite or Splitgate or, Apex Legends. None of those, unless those games already do cross-platform or cross-play, the PlayStation Spartacus is not going to be able to accommodate for that.
Yeah.
Unless... Sorry, Christmas party last week still going. Unless they can cut a deal or find out and all the game developers start going right. And Sony, because I know Sony's apparently the hard ass from what I've heard. Sony's apparently the major hard ass with the cross-platform. It's not actually Xbox. Xbox has actually been really open to the idea.
Yeah.
I've actually remember Phil Spencer coming out once and saying, hey, I'm open to working with Sony on this if they're willing to come to the party. But Sony have just outright gone no.
Yeah.
If Sony could pull their finger out and actually go, you know what, this is actually going to be beneficial for us to be able to have an even playing field, then sure, they could look into that sort of thing. Like, it pisses me off now that I jump on FIFA 22 and it's not cross-platform, even though Xbox has got it as part of EA Play joined onto them. I can't play with my mate Squiz on his console.
Yeah.
Because there's already a problem there.
Well, that's
Like,
EA wanting to lock out the
PlayStation
marketplaces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what it all shit comes down to.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. PlayStation are doing the same thing. They're locking themselves out of the market by, yes, they're getting a subscription service. Yes, they're going to offer backwards compatibility all the way down to PS1 without the use of hard copy discs. Cool. Sweet. But nowadays, a lot of the gameplay that's happening is cross-platform. People want to play COD against each other, which they now can do. But they want to play, they want to play other games against each other that should be cross-platform. And, oh, no, sorry, they're not. Sorry, they can't be played from a Sony to an Xbox or to a Switch or whatever the case may be. But Xbox, they still have that advantage because those of us on PC who play the same game on Xbox and it's exclusive, so people who have like Halo Infinite that just came out or Forza Horizon 5, I can play with those people on the console and it runs in real time.
Yeah, exactly.
And no one pays any extra for it.
Yeah.
We're both on fucking GamePass and we both get to play against each other.
Yeah, it's perfect. Like I've always said since the GamePass started coming out and stuff and how they're integrating it more into Windows, it's perfect. It's exactly what they needed to do. And just if Sony could just stop being such fucking dicks and just, start allowing their players to experience more than just Sony, it'd be great.
Yeah.
It'd be great. Moving on, I suppose we have a little section here for gangs plans for the future. I love that, the gang plan. Gang plan. Yeah.
Gang plan.
In terms of videos, we do have a lot scheduled to come out. We're just waiting on basically final edits and stuff like that. What do we have coming out, Rav? Do you remember? I know we have some more Gang Beasts we got to see.
Yes, the first one, actually, a lot of people I've shown that have actually been fans of it. So
really?
They've been fans of it, just the way it was produced and the way that we just all had fun with it. Those particular clips were actually really good ones to pick too.
Yeah.
The second one, which a little bit of a teaser for you guys. We played different format of instead of all on all, more of a 2-on-2 with the 4 players that were there. Not to give much more away, but that we're hopefully going to get up soon. We had another one. You guys, we did Phasma already. What was the other one we?
I think there could be maybe more Phasma. I'm
going
into edit chops, trying to see if I can see any titles here. Just where this folder takes a while to load because it's loading off of Google. And I think we have some more though. Just waiting for this now because I remember we recorded a bit. I think there's there's a Valorant video coming soon. With myself, Paddy, and a few others, all playing Valorant together.
Yep.
That should be good. We have the Battlefield one that's still yet to come.
That was what I was thinking. I knew there was a Battlefield. I knew there was a Battlefield one because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
A while ago. Yeah.
That one too, yeah. Apart from that, we're just waiting on the final edits from Mr. DSM, and they should be up, and we really do hope you enjoy them. New streamers.
Yes.
We do plan on expanding quite a bit. I would love to see some more people coming over to join us on Gang, be part of the podcast, present yourself, put yourself out there. Really, it's free promotion. If it's something that you would be interested in joining our little team, you can go to gang.live/G4CC. That's gang.live/G4CC. And there's the form to become a Gang content creator. Apart from that, we do have a new member join us this month, Mr. Chamburrito. He streams on YouTube, but looking into alternative platforms. Also, he mainly plays Apex and Valorant, but is thinking about even starting to do some manga reviews. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Yes. I pointed him in the direction of Trovo today, because even though we no longer stream there, I know, and of a couple of streamers who are actually VTubers, and VTubers being big fans of anime and manga and stuff like that, they would probably find that stuff quite interesting to them. So you never know, just try your luck.
That's it. At the end of the day, Gang is a network of gamers and creators who unite together, and we'll always try help each other, get the most out of their content. With regards to ideas, I'm not quite sure we're ready to talk about that yet. We do have a lot of ideas coming up for 2022. We are saying that, Gang 2022 is going to be a different Gang than much of experience, and this podcast is kind of, a part of that. With regards of G4 Worlds updates, big update right now is that we're working on our Rust server again. We're running the version 2. We're currently building a lot more stuff just for that community. So instead of it just being just a base map and you just kind of go into whatever, we're kind of building little community hubs inside the map to, be able to go do some certain things or meet new people and stuff like that. And we're going to try and enforce some rules of, no PvP in certain locations and stuff like that. So it is definitely going there. We've also released our new Minecraft server, which is running the newest version of Minecraft 1.18. There's a lot of crazy features involved in this new version of Minecraft, and we had to straight up jump on board and be, pioneers in the server world to get this up and running with all of our custom plugins and scripts and stuff like that. So if that's something that you're interested in, go to g4worlds.com and you'll be able to find the link to the Discord, and anyone in there will be able to help you connect. Or there's also the room in there to also tell you, how exactly to connect. That's pretty much it for me here. Rav, do you have any closing notes?
No, the only closing note I really have is reflecting on what you said, something that I should definitely believe, and that is, if you don't put the effort you need to, this is obviously going back in summary about the StreamLabs and the software discussion we had earlier, tying it back to that. If you don't put yourself fully into what you want to do, you clearly don't want to do it. As a new saying I come up with, and I put it up in our Discord, in one of our discussions, Tommo, was, if you ain't repping, get to stepping. That's pretty much the only way you can put it. If you ain't repping yourself, then get to stepping. So if you ain't repping, get to stepping. That's it.
Exactly.
That's all I can leave you with. And I know I can be guilty of that sometimes, taking time away and trying to rework what I'm going to do, but I know this podcast is definitely something I've actually wanted to do for a long time. So whether you like it or not, you'll be seeing more of me. So, suck shit.
This podcast has been literally something that I was always planning on doing with Gang, but could just never get the time to fully commit into doing it. So, Rav, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today with me. Obviously, there's going to be a whole lot more of these. We're going to have other people coming in too, such as DSM. We'll try to get some other guests from Gang, such as some Paddy or a little bit of someone else too. Just keep it fresh. Keep it, not the same 2 or 3 farts shitting on about the same stuff every single month.
As long as you're not by yourself.
Exactly. Guys, we love and appreciate you. We really do hope you enjoyed this again. If you want to watch the whole thing in full, the first few of these will be fully uploaded onto our YouTube channel. Also down below as well, there's going to be some links to maybe just listen to the audio versions of these so you can sync it up to your favorite podcasting app or anything like that. And there's also going to be some highlight clips onto the YouTube too. Love and appreciate y'all so much. Rav, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, Mr. Tommo.
Goodbye.
Bye.